Children, today we are going to learn about the history of the city of pearls, Hyderabad.
Hyderabad was an important princely state of South India under the British rule. It was ruled by the Nizams, who were the provincial governors of the Mughal emperors.
These Nizams worked under the British Viceroy and adhered to the rules and policies made by them. In this chapter, we will learn what was the condition of the people who lived during the British Nizam rule and how did they fight for their freedom. In 1888, gradually the educated people started getting in favor of the Indian National Congress. They were against the special favors that were granted to the Nizams. Mullah Abdul Qayyum played a vital role in convincing the people in the favor of Congress and motivating them to fight for the freedom of Hyderabad State.
The local newspapers also started propagating the cause of nationalism and the need of freedom. Christian missionaries also started supporting the Congress. In 1892, Arya Samaj was established in Hyderabad, which contributed a lot towards the cause of Hyderabad's freedom and bringing about social and religious reforms. The Nizams were more or less like autocratic rulers of Hyderabad, who ruled with the help of Jagirdars. These Nizams did not want to let go of the power to control the state and its affairs from their hands, and that is why they were against Congress and issued several firmans also to curb its political activity in Hyderabad.
If you are wondering what are firmans, let me tell you. Firmans are the unofficial religious orders that are issued by a priest or ruler against someone or somebody. Children, the Nizams of Hyderabad were Muslims who spoke Dakkani Urdu, while the majority of people in Hyderabad state were Hindus who spoke Telugu, Kannada and Marathi. The Nizams were not bothered about them. The government did not allow even the private institutions to impart education in the language of the people. The Nizams did not let the Telugu medium schools come up because they thought people would use these educational institutes to spread anti-Nizam ideas. As a result, literacy rate in Hyderabad came down drastically. In the suffocating atmosphere, Telugu language and culture suffered very much.
At this critical juncture in 1901, Sri Kommaraju Lakshmana Rao, with the cooperation of N. Venkata Rangarao and Ravi Chetturanga Rao, established Sri Krishna Deva Raya Andhra Bhasha Nilayam, the biggest Telugu library in Hyderabad city. In 1921, Andhra Janasangam was formed by Madhapati Hanumanta Rao.
The activists of Andhra Janasangam started working towards improving the lives of local people by educating them and encouraging them to demand a change. The party aimed at the social, economic and cultural revival of the people of Telangana. To coordinate the activities of the different Andhra associations in Telangana, a central organization known as Andhra Jana Kendra Sangam was formed.
The leaders of Andhra Mahasabha had both educational and social reform objectives. The leaders actively got engaged in establishing libraries and schools in the state. Peasants and laborers were encouraged to read, write and discuss their problems in the public. People were encouraged to read books by social reformers like Veerasalingam and nationalists like Gandhiji and Nehru, etc. Most of these activities took place in the libraries, and thus the libraries became the birthplace of anti-Nizam and anti-landlord movement. The Andhra Mahasabha boldly placed its demands in 1935 before the government. Their demands were 1. compulsory primary education for the children. 2. Mother tongue Telugu should be the medium of instruction. 3. The rights of local people in the Jagirs should be protected. 4. Child marriages should not be encouraged. 5. They wanted a local self-government in place of the Nizami rule. 6. They wanted the eradication of untouchability from the society.
The movement of AMS was getting stronger day by day and gaining the faith of the local people. They were hopeful that now the situation will improve for them. They will now be able to get their rights. They will now be able to get a fair treatment. By 1940, many communists joined AMS. They wanted AMS to take up some other issues like abolition of Veti, land reforms and oppression by Doras, etc. But AMS leaders wanted to stick to educational and literary reforms only, and thus very soon a new movement of peasants started.
The princely state of Hyderabad was technically not under the British India because the Nizams had won favour of the Britishers by working for them. They had also earned the title of the most faithful ally of the British government. The Indian National Congress only functioned in the British India and not directly in the princely states. But the nationalist leaders were concerned about the oppression faced by the local masses and wanted to help them.
Thus they decided to form State Congress to fight for the democratic rights and social reforms. Unrest was growing in the people. The Nizams got worried that they would lose everything, and they started taking extreme measures to suppress the movement. They banned the singing of Vande Mataram in the schools and also began to shut down schools and colleges that refused to comply with the rules enforced by the Nizams. The public protests did not grow weak, and the Nizam finally ended the ban on the State Congress in April 1946. In the same year, when India was about to gain freedom, the leaders of Hyderabad State Congress started demanding the merger of Hyderabad State with the Republic of India. Children, the Telangana rebellion was a communist-led peasant rebellion against the feudal lords and later against Nizam between 1946 and 1951. This was led by the Communist Party of India.
The revolt started in 1946 in the Nalgonda district against the cruel feudal lords and quickly spread to other districts. Peasant farmers and labourers were revolting against local landlords, the Jagirdars and Deshmukhs, who were ruling the villages known as Samsthans.
They owned most of the land in the villages and collected heavy taxes, and at the same time tortured the people who worked for them. There were small-time Hindu rulers known as Doras also who were being opposed by the people. Chakalli Ailamma, belonging to the Razakar caste, had revolted against Zamindar Ramachandra Reddy because he tried to take her 4 acres of land. Her revolt inspired many to join the movement. The communist-led agitation was successful in liberating over 3,000 villages from the feudal lords, and 10,000 acres of agricultural land was distributed to landless peasants. Around 4,000 peasants lost their lives in the struggle fighting feudal private armies.
It later became a fight against Nizam. what happened that in order to suppress the agitation of the people and hold back to the power, the Nizam started the Razakar movement. This was a violent movement in which the Nizam's appointed Razakars tortured and harassed the protesters. They were also responsible for forcible conversions of religion.
To deal with the Razakars, the people took to weapons. The Communist Party was also encouraging the peasants to use guerrilla tactics against the Razakars, and by way of force, they had already taken around 3,000 villages under their control. The landlords were either killed or driven out, and the land was redistributed amongst the peasants.
When India became free in 1947, the then Nizam of Hyderabad, Osman Mir Khan, wanted Hyderabad to remain an independent kingdom, whereas the common people wanted to join independent India. Ramananda Tirtha of AMS organized a large campaign.
The protesters were attacked by Razakars, and then India government took a decision to end this injustice and chaos by sending in the armed forces. The Indian army took control of Hyderabad, and then it was integrated into Indian Union in September 1948. India became republic in 1950. It took 2 years to conduct the elections. Since Nizam was familiar with the state and people, he was allowed to retain the power for time being. The Nizam kept acting as the Raj Pramukh, the head of the state. In 1952, elections were held in Hyderabad and an elected government was formed in Hyderabad. Burugala Ramakrishna Rao was the first chief minister of Hyderabad. Nizam, however, still continued to be the Raj Pramukh till 1956, and then the State Reorganization Act made Hyderabad a part of Andhra State. Children, do you know that women also played an important role on the Telangana struggle? Women had suffered a lot under the Nizams and the Doras. They were not allowed to get educated, were forced to work for the landlords and their guests. These women attended the night schools of AMS and took part in the protests organized by AMS and communist parties. Some women were brave enough to pick up arms and fight the Razakars. They sang songs to encourage people. They also acted as nurses and doctors. They even sacrificed their lives for the cause of Hyderabad's freedom. We salute such women who fought for their rights and made themselves immortal in the pages of history. With that, we come to the end of this chapter. Hope you enjoyed the session. Bye.